Look, I'm going to say some tough stuff here, as I usually do. Try not to get into too much trouble. But I want every jeweler to realize that I totally respect those last 18 inches, that tremendous work in the distribution system that jewelers and retailers and wholesalers do. I'm going to talk about how the world's getting tough and changing, but I want everybody to understand that the role and the history of our industry and the people in it that have built this diamond and jewelry industry to where it is today, it's sacred, it's valuable, it's important. I don't want anyone to think, because I'm a little tough on what I say, that the jeweler and his job isn't important. It's vital. And I have tremendous respect for the jewelers that are out here and for the people who actually move the diamonds to the customer, because that is holy work for our industry. That is important. Now, these guys are coming under tremendous pressure, wholesalers, etc. But I just want everyone to know that as I talk about change and things, I do respect and I am very concerned about the actual jewelers and what they do. It's very important to recognize that. And the other thing is that organizations, last year I was coming out very strong against organizations, and people are trying to do what they can. It may not be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of good. So we're taking a different track. You got to accept them what they are. If organizations do a good job or they don't do such a good job, let it go. But we're still going to strive to do good. In other words, you can only go so far criticizing people and knocking them. And I believe the ultimate challenge, irrespective of what's going on around you, is to just plow ahead with good stuff. Create, as you'll see, I'll talk about the slippery slope of legitimization, leading things into good, because ultimately good will knock out evil, or at least partially. So I'll talk about that too. Now, the first thing guys said to me, they said, what about bubble trouble? I'm a retailer and all these guys are telling me diamond prices are up. Maybe it's a speculative bubble and it's not really that bad, and just let it go, and this whole thing of high prices, Well, there is bubble trouble, big bubble trouble, but it isn't like Indians necessarily speculating on the price of diamonds. The bubble trouble is that, and you'll see I'll talk about the United States, in terms of how it fits into the global diamond industry, is fundamentally screwed. I say that nicer, but we're in a position where we are living a bubble in America. Interest rates at zero. Economic expansion based on printing of dollars. This is a bubble. So it'll continue probably if they pass the deficit, or they increase the deficit, and they do some things. But essentially, the bubble that I'm seeing is not so much diamond prices being unreal. The bubble I see is an economy in the United States which used to dominate the diamond and jewelry industry, which is now losing its, well, not losing, it's not bad, it's just not the main player anymore. So the bubble that we have to be more afraid of is the U.S. bubble, the economic bubble. And I think what we need to understand as we go into this discussion this morning is that we're dealing with nonlinear, interactive change. Ugh, a mouthful. Nonlinear. Now, linear change means, A brings B, brings C, so you can kind of anticipate the future. That's linear change. Nonlinear change is when things bump, jump. Tsunami in Tokyo is a non-linear change. That's something that shocks the world. It takes us into another space. The way in which we see change happening, a revolution in the Arab world, that's a non-linear change. So what we're looking at is not just the politics, but the diamond industry itself undergoing a lot of different changes, and the economy and the world going under a lot of interchanges that are not simple. They're not expected. They jump. And also, sometimes they're very fast and they're intense. Like, well, would the market drop 280 points or something? Boom, all of a sudden. Shocking, we're unsettled. And the other thing about change is that it's interactive. A changes B, B jumps to G, G changes A changes B, B jumps to Z. So it's very hard to understand what is going on in the world around us. I don't think we've ever had a situation like this. Well, I'm sure we've had it, but where people are trying to understand and they don't really get it. It's hard, people don't know what's really happening. And this requires a multidisciplinary approach. You can't just look at diamonds, and you can't even just look at economics. So what I'm going to try to do today is to give you some kind of a model to help you understand how you can put the pieces of this puzzle together so you can get your picture. My views may be wrong. My perspective may be wrong. But my goal today is to get you into a frame of mind where you start to understand some of the big pieces that are happening, the big movements of continents, so you can kind of figure out, hey, what's going on in this world, and how does America fit in, and how do I fit in? You might be an Israeli diamond cutter, you might be an Indian, you might be an American retailer. How do I fit into this game? What are those big waves? What are those things that are happening? And there's no uncertainty about them, but what are they, and how will they affect me? Now, the first thing is that when people talked about the bubble to me, there were retailers that came out and said, is this a bubble with the diamond prices? Some of that is denial. People don't want to believe that an HVS2 is going, I don't know, $4,000, whatever dollars. The price of Melly has doubled in the past year, doubled. People don't believe this stuff. They say, it's just temporary, everything will go back to the way it was. It's not going back to the way it was. The only thing I can promise you, and the only thing consistent is going to be change. We're not going back to the way it was. And so the change curve was created by some psychologists or something many years ago, and we had the change curve when diamond prices went down after 2008, and everybody freaked out, and well, Rapaport shouldn't go down with prices. Diamond prices didn't go down, even though the stock market and everything else did, and all that. Now we're going to get a change curve with prices going up. And we're going to have to figure out, how do we deal with these higher prices? What are we going to do about it? So you got to get through this thing. It's sort of like a Gestalt group, Everybody's experiencing this. But be careful not to be in denial. Accept the fact that diamond prices might be significantly higher, gold prices might be significantly higher, and remain there. And don't build your business on things returning to the way they were. There is no new normal. New normal is a ridiculous phrase. There's no normal. There's new abnormal. There's new change. So embrace change, try to figure out where it's going, and just surf the waves of change. Use change to move you forward. Think strategically. Not operationally, strategically. Because even if you're a laggard, if you catch the right wave, you're going to do fine. And where you position yourself in this changing environment will probably be more important often than what you do. And even if you're the best bench jeweler, you're the best designer, the best marketer, if you don't understand your market, you don't understand how the world's changing around you, you're going to miss the boat. So the vital thing is to accept change, embrace change, identify change, position yourself in that game, and you'll be okay. That's the secret here. So we're going to build a model to encourage a new way of thinking. And the challenge for us is, how do we add value consistently in a changing environment? How does the jeweler or the wholesaler or the cutter add value? Because it's all about adding value. If you don't add value to the diamond or the jewelry, go into real estate or something. Go away. I love you, but you're not going to succeed here. You have to identify your unique value-added proposition. They call it unique selling proposition or whatever. How are you doing this? Who needs you? Where do you make things better? And if you make things better, if you add value, it doesn't matter so much what happens around you, as long as you're in the right wave, and you're going to be fine. And then the question is, so what's changing? Rapaport, you keep talking about change. Explain it to me. What's going on around here? So let's look at a strange model. And these are like, so interactive change, everything here is affecting everything else. First of all, you got demographics. For some reason, God put a lot of people in China and India, like billions of people. So the demographics itself, the critical mass of people, has changed the world. So many people entering middle class, so many people earning more money, so many people getting washing machines and dishwashers and using electricity and building buildings and getting roads, so many billions of people. That is causing change. It's creating this thing called globalization. So it's the demographics that's creating globalization, and globalization in return is creating also demographics, and all of that is having economic impact. So these things are linked together. And one thing influences the other, and the other influences the third, and then the third influences the fourth. So you have to understand we're in a highly interactive environment where things are going on. Let's look at demographics for a second. Look at the number of people. You got, between China and India, you got 2.5 billion people. And America's 310. And even if you look over to the right side at the GDP, let's see, we got $14 billion of GDP in America. And only India is only 14 billion GDP. So it's India and China's gross domestic product is about the same as the United States of America. The United States of America is only about, well, we said 2.4 billion and 3 billion and 300 million. That's 1/7, 1/8. There's 8 other guys out there for each one of these American guys. And they're earning about the same. So if you kind of lump those two together, you can get an idea of where the game is going. Now, you got Brazil, you got the USA, but some of the interesting things here is the population. Look at the Indian population. 48% of the population is 25 or under. That's energy. Think about the 60s. Everyone in America, they were taking birth control pills, and sex was free, and everybody smoking marijuana because they had a lot of young people and a lot of good energy. Right here, we're not in California, but that's what was going on in California, they tell me. Hey, in India, all these young people, they want to rock. They don't want to smoke marijuana. They want to become computer programmers so they can get money and that they can have a good living. They're hungry. That's very powerful. All those young people. You would not have the revolution we see in the Arab world today if you didn't have a demographic of younger people there. I don't have that in here, but that's there. Now, the GDP per capita makes us comfortable. $47,400, the average GDP in the United States, and only $3,400 in India. So you might say, the Indians, they don't matter. But my rabbi always told me, he said, I don't care how religious you are. I want to know, are you getting more religious or less religious? Now, you got these guys out there that are young, that are aggressive, they're only making $3,400, say, dollars. It's not their income, but that's their GDP. They want to make more money. They want to go, baby. And they're young and aggressive, so they're going to have tremendous energy in the game. We're somewhat mature already. United States and Europe, a lot of people own diamonds. We already have that culture. Like I figured you got about 50 million in India. Say roughly about 80 to 100 million new middle-class consumers every year in India and China. 80 million, that's almost like a quarter of America, more than that. Could you imagine that? 80 million new customers walking into your stores? It's huge. And now they can afford for the first time a dime. They got none, now they're going to start buying. So that kind of energy is fantastic and it's powerful. And that's why Brighton prices are going to do what they're going to do. Can't ignore the fact that these consumers, these people are going to want to buy product. And there's no new mines that are popping up out of nowhere to take care of all these extra consumers. So the shortages often is not a real, and you got free market forces driving the stuff up. So you got to understand that the demographics are playing an important role. Now, when I talk about globalization driven by demographics, what do I mean? First of all, there's new political realities as well as economic realities. China is flexing its muscles, as is India. But you know, we think of globalization as the export of American jobs to India, outsourcing in China. That's not true anymore. First of all, some companies are finding out it doesn't pay to outsource to China because of regulations and higher wages, and you know, you can read The Economist and you'll see some of that. But they're the demand of the future. Yesterday's suppliers are tomorrow's or even today's consumers. You want to put Samelli in a nice necklace? Somebody in India wants to. And they're your competition. They're chasing those goods. Not just diamonds. They're chasing the oil. Chinese people aren't going to go back to driving bicycles. So all that growth is driving us into a new reality. But understand this. Don't think of the Chinese and the Indians as suppliers that are taking away your jobs, though that might be happening. Think of them as consumers that want to eat your cupcakes. They want what you want. America has taught the world about consumerism. So they want it. They want the life. And they want it bad. And there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of socioeconomic, political effects, so I'm not going to go into that too much today, but just be aware that everything is connected and we're not isolating things. The world's getting too small. It's good that the world is small. We can all sing Kumbaya at the United Nations. Fact is, it's getting too small. So there's not enough resources for growing middle classes. There just isn't enough oil, copper, zinc, you name it. And we may have little movements in the commodity markets, but the bottom line is there's a lot of people that want a lot of commodities, and they're going to have to find them, and it's not going to be there. And we have to be objective about this. I'm not against poverty alleviation, don't get me wrong, but the fact is, poverty alleviation creates demand for scarce resources. So when we say we would like to have poverty alleviation, which I believe in, bear in mind they want your cupcakes, they want your coal, they want your steel, they want your diamonds, they want your water, whatever the hell it is. Which means that we are saying when we talk about this, altruistic idea that the world should be fair and good, what we are saying is we want to share. We'll take less, we'll give you more. And there are benefits to this. It's a good thing to do. It's not just altruistic. But that's what's going on. Africa is going to be the new India. India is going to be the new America. Well, India and China are the new Americas as we look to the future. Where's America going to be? Interesting question. I'm not negative on America, wearing my American flag on my lapel. I love America. I am an American. But we are going to get into what I would call resource and economic warfare. Hopefully the warfare won't be people shooting guns at each other, but they'll be fighting with currencies. If anybody thinks that the renminbi, which is the Chinese currency, is going to remain where it is long term, I think you're making a mistake. The renminbi is kept down. It's a very complicated currency story, but essentially what's going to happen is once they find out that America can no longer really pay for their labor, China may very well be going more isolationist. They have enough consumers in China to keep their factories running. They don't need Americans to buy their toys and their textiles. So the whole idea is that, you'll see, I'll tell you the story of how all this developed, but essentially, countries are going to be more self-reliant, big countries like China, and then they're going to say, if I want to buy oil, why shouldn't my currency be 30% or 40% stronger? Why should America get, I'll pay more for it, I have a stronger currency. The Chinese are sitting on $3 trillion US dollars, $3 trillion. America keeps printing the stuff. America is going to keep printing money figuratively until they run out of ink. I mean, it's crazy. Now the Chinese are sitting there watching the American money go to hell. I mean, it's a nice plan, because if you think about it, if America gets into inflation, which is inevitable, they're simply going to pay the Chinese back with toilet paper. $1,000 gets you a cup of coffee or something. I don't know what kind of inflation we're going to have, but it's inevitable. Chinese see this. They have the $3 trillion, but they also want to raise their currency. So I'm predicting currency changes and currency warfare. Right now the warfare is to the extent that they keep the dollar weak, strong. But essentially there's going to be a lot of movement of currencies. Now what does that do for diamonds in dollars? Yeah, they got to go up. If the dollar goes down, the diamond's going up. Because there's these people out there that are buying it with renminbi and with rupee and with other foreign currencies that are going to be stronger against the dollar. So the outlook for the dollar diamond, or the diamond in dollars, is woo! So we're in America going to have to sell diamonds at Chinese prices to American consumers who might be unemployed, with partial of them unemployed. So this global game, this global economic game, isn't something external to the diamond industry. It affects your merchandising. It affects what kind of goods you're going to be able to afford to buy. It affects the price points. It affects essentially the foundation of your business in terms of values. And there's going to be turbulence, guaranteed. Now, You got to think about money. And even before I go to money, let me go back for a second. What if I said to you, we're going to make a Rapaport price sheet, and we're going to price diamonds in ounces of gold. So say instead of a D-floss being, say, $20,000 per carat, I don't know what 20,000 an ounce is, or something like, you only get 10 ounces. 10 ounces is $15,000, yeah, 13 ounces. And we track that over time. In gold terms, diamond prices have plummeted. So I just want to start thinking that way a little bit, that when we talk about values and we talk about the dollar, we're always thinking in terms of the dollar. Now, what is this dollar? So you got to understand that we allocate resources through money. Normally, I don't care about prices. But the thing about prices, because, you know, you're a jeweler, you don't own a diamond mine. What do you care if diamonds go down, prices go down? It shouldn't bother you, because you buy for X, you sell for X plus Y, and you make your margin, your profit margin. A lot of people would wish that gold would go down. But much easier to sell a gold necklace against somebody's vacation or some other luxury product. So, you know, down prices isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the point about prices and money, it's we use money to allocate who gets the diamond, who gets the vacation. So the more money you have, the more things you can buy. And so money is how we allocate resources in the world. Or in your company, you know, you want to hire another marketing person, or you want to hire another diamond sorter. Should you hire this one? Should you hire that one? Money is going to make the decision for you, because you have limited amounts of money. How you spend it is how you're going to allocate your growth and your resources. And we all do this every day. One Starbucks coffee instead of, I don't know, some other thing, one chip on the roulette wheel. But whatever it is, we actually make those decisions subconsciously and consciously all the time, and we have budgets for our companies. So now how do we allocate money? So money gets you resources. But how do we allocate how much money people have? Through interest rates. If we raise interest rates very high, people don't get enough money. If we lower interest rates real low, everyone's got a lot of money. They use the credit cards, they buy, it's okay. America's on drugs right now. We're on zero interest rate. Not sustainable, everybody. Not sustainable. We got free money. So with free money, I'll show you, with free money, we're still bakakt. But we have free money. We're on, what do they call it? Prozac. We're on Prozac. A country, Prozac nation, financial Prozac, zero interest rates. Come on. So money and prices are an illusion right now. They're not real. And ultimately, money is only worth what you can buy with it. And if there's too much money, money becomes worth less. Worth less diamonds. Worth less gas for your car. It's not that gas prices necessarily have gone up. It's that the dollar has gone down. So I would say it's worthless, yet it's worth less. And no one can tell me that the dollar isn't worth less when it comes to buying diamonds or gas for your car. Maybe you can buy houses cheap still, that's another story, but fundamentally, we are locked into this dollar, and we need to understand the implications for what we do and the decisions that we make, and we can't ignore the fact that we are right now skating on very thin ice. We're walking on water. All right, everybody with me so far? Freaking you out with too much economics? Everybody okay? I worry about you. I can't see. I got this lights on. I can't see if you're getting glazed eyes out there or something. Economics does that. So let me tell you a little economic story so I can enforce what I've just talked about. See this guy? Look at it. Put him on the 3 screens. He's aggressive. He's hungry. Anybody ever got a salesman like that? Anybody have that kind of personality? He wants to win. He really wants to win. Because he's coming from nowhere. And he's going somewhere. So what happened was, if you go back to the days of Kissinger and Nixon going out to China, and they're looking at these billion people, and they say, you know, we don't want to get into nuclear warfare. So how are we going to get these guys not to kill us? And the answer that America always has is, we'll buy them off. What we'll do is we'll redesign global finance to give us low interest rates. And if we have low interest rates, people in America will use their credit cards and they'll buy Chinese sweaters, Chinese knickknacks, Chinese toys, Chinese everything. I bet iPhones. I bet all of you people are walking around and the majority of products that you have with you on you right now, and maybe even in your life, are made in China. But they're going back to the 1990s here. Lower interest rates, keep the global economy afloat, and let there be employment in China so the Chinese and the Indians don't kill us, basically. That was the deal. And it worked. It worked really great. Keep interest rates low, American consumption high, let the debt go to trillions of dollars, and everybody's cool. And that's what they did. It's not a crime, it's just a political policy, and it worked. Now, the thing is, though, that you can see the S&P jumping up over there in the 90s. Why did stocks go up? Because there's so much dollars around, what are you going to do with the money? If I increased this hotel's coffee, and I said, guys, we're going to now bring 1 million cups of coffee and make them available right here in this hotel. The price of coffee at Starbucks or anyone else in the hotel will go down to pennies. If you get a lot of money floating around, it's going to go into the stock market. It's going to create the illusion of wealth. People are going to feel rich. They're going to buy jewelry. They're going to do things. And essentially, you can see when interest rates went up, it got a little quieter. When interest rates went down, the stock market went up a little bit, a lot. So cheap money means stocks go up, diamonds go up, oil goes up, whatever goes up. Now, this is a tricky thing here. You see, unemployment came up. And the increase in unemployment is very tough. And I can explain the housing crisis very simple. Interest rates were too low. Everybody wanted to buy a house. Money was too easy. And they invested and they just bought a lot of houses on credit because credit was really cheap and easy. And it created a bubble, a real bubble. But in any case, the problem that we confront right now is that unemployment is sticky. Just went up back to 9.1%. Even though interest rates are dead flatlined. You can't lower interest rates. You're in a Keynesian liquidity trap. Monetary policy is kaput. You can't lower interest rates anymore. They're at zero. And you still have unemployment. And normally, you lower interest rates, people buy stuff, employment works out, and the economy self-rights itself. That was the idea of monetary policy. But there's a hole in our bucket, dear Eliza, there's a hole in our bucket. Because when we lower interest rates, do we give jobs to Americans? No, we give jobs to Chinese and Indians. We're in a global economy. You lower American interest rates, we buy more iPhones that are manufactured wherever. They're not totally manufactured in China, maybe only 15%, but the point is that America cannot have a monetary policy that supports unemployment by keeping interest rates low because we buy a lot of foreign products. We export our jobs, so money flows all over the world. So right now, we're basically out of gas in terms of the monetary policy. So, and you can't raise interest rates. You know, that's going to increase unemployment, shut down businesses because everybody's used to taking the Prozac every morning and take away everybody's Prozac, they're going to walk around pretty glum. So we're in this, addiction to low interest rates. So we're in a very weird position as far as the United States economy goes. It's pushing up diamond prices. It's creating a bubble. This is the real bubble. And the American government is stuck. And that's where we are right now. And America's angry. I like Obama. He's an interesting guy. He represents generational shift. But no Obama. Jobs, stupid. Throw the bum out. Taxed enough already. Jobs now. Hope? Nope. No Obama. I love the covers of The Economist. They're so colorful. And Americans getting angry. The higher gas is a gas tax. Inflation's going to be a tax. And, so we're trying our best. We're keeping the thing afloat. But, we may actually get into a world situation where 30% of Americans make all the money, maybe 60%, and 30% of the Americans are on the dole, and we just throw money at them the way we did at the Chinese not to fight with us. Here's some money, put you on the dole, give you some welfare, give you some free health care, just do whatever you're going to do. Just don't bother the people that are making the money. As it is, I think 80% of, I have to check those numbers, but about 20% of Americans, or 5% of Americans, pay 80% of the taxes. And if you give them too hard a time, some of them might move. But the point I'm trying to say over here is that America's in a bit of a pickle. And does anybody not understand why gold prices have gone up? Does anybody not understand that now? And if gold goes up, why shouldn't diamonds go up? Because there's global demand for this stuff. India is the biggest consumer of golds in the world. They got airplanes flying from Australia directly to Kerala to deliver gold. So, I mean, obviously gold's going to go up. It's a dollar going down as much as it is gold going up. And here's the funny thing. We used to be afraid of China. But look at this. We're afraid of China economically. The panda is going to King Kong. Amazing. And then we went to, can China save us? First we're afraid of them. They're going to take, then we go, can you please save me? Save me, China. Inflate the global economy. Buy American stuff. And I talked to you about currency wars. I'm not making this stuff up. Other magazines have put this out there. These concepts are out there. Currency warfare, yeah. That's how one country gets more powerful than another. You don't have to shoot people today. You just change your currency rates. There's Chairman Mao. I love the guy. I remember when the Japanese bought Rockefeller Center in New York. Chinese got all, if you had $3 trillion, what would you do with it? What would you buy? American real estate? I think you could buy pretty much a good part of the S&P 500. Probably the Dow Jones. They got a lot of money. They don't know what the hell to do with it. And it's not just China. Brazil, the BRICS. Remember the BRICS? Look at Brazil rocking and rolling. Oh, all these people want your diamonds, guys. Well, these guys with money, they want to buy the same diamonds that you want to buy, and you're competing with them, and that's why diamond prices are going up. You don't need a PhD to figure this one out. And now the contest is China versus India. There's no America in this picture. We're not even in the game. If you really think to the future, it's between China and India. 1 billion here, 1 billion there. You're talking about a lot of people with a lot of money eventually. India is going to go faster than China for a lot of interesting reasons, one of which is that China had the stupid policy of enforcing people to have one child. And they got ancestor worship as their basic religion, and talk about the problems that we have with healthcare and an aging population. It's going to become incredible in China. So India is really the game. And we're talking about the post-American world. Now, I don't mean post-American like I'm putting America down. I'm just being realistic, and I'm not even agreeing that it's going to be a post-American world. But this is what's happening. This is the story in America. Come on, grow. We lowered the interest rate. Grow. Come on, grow. And we get that little growth there. I need a loop. Now, I didn't do this artwork. I didn't make this up. I'm just putting it together. So what do we get here? We get artificially low interest rates because the government, some guys in Washington decided that we all need to take Prozac. We get global economics. By the way, it's not evil. I'm not blaming the American government for not getting into a war in China by buying them off for 20 years and making money worth nothing. I'm not blaming anybody. I am not at all putting any value decisions on any of this. I'm just this fly on the wall saying, hey guys, this is what's happening. So we can figure it out and they say, okay, how's it going to affect us? What waves is it going to create? What tsunamis is it going to create that we need to surf? So we got global economic expansion. We got funny money with the weak dollar. We have the reallocation of global wealth. So the rich are now Chinese and Indians and other guys. We have excessive resource demand because we gave a lot of people, billions, a lot of money, and they want the same resources that we want. We're going to get inflation, and eventually, because of inflation, higher interest rates, and then we're going to get an economic shutdown. I'm predicting the future. Economic shutdown may be years away. Maybe global, who knows? So, as long as there's music, you must dance. Grab the money, do the thing, make some money, have some fun. But it's musical chairs as kids. So when the music stops, when interest rates start to move up, get your eye on a chair and make sure you're close to it, because you're going to jump on that chair, because there ain't enough chairs for everybody. And if there's speculation in the diamond industry or the gold or whatever, so those speculators are holding excess inventory, So when things get bad, you don't get the normal oversupply from demand adjustment. You get all the speculative gold or the speculative diamonds flooding into the market at the worst possible time. And if interest rates go up, the cost of holding diamond inventory will go up. The game is going to change. There'll be too much goods, and we will get a big stop of the music, like totally. But until that time, it's important to make music, and it's important to dance. It's like you're playing blackjack, right? And the cards are going with you. Increase your bets, please. Just go table limit when it's going with you. And then when it goes against you, get the hell out of there. But if you don't increase your bets when times are good, you're never going to make anything. You're just going to get hit when it's bad. So you must dance when there is music, and there is music today. Maybe I'm talking to Indians more than Americans, but there are a lot of wealthy people wandering around. There's lots of billionaires in New York and California, wherever. They're wondering about where to put their money. They can smell the dollar going down. Some of them may want diamonds. Investment diamond demand is going to come up. But be aware that the party is artificial with the dollar, and when inflation kicks in, it's already kicking in, when interest rates start to go up, there's going to be hell to pay. It's the big hangover, a financial hangover coming. Now, again, I may be wrong. I could be totally wrong. I've talked about inflation for years, and we're in a deflationary environment. But it's worth thinking about these things, guys, okay? Because I might be right. And at least if you think about it and you say, nah, that's not true, I'm not going to think, that's okay. You don't have to. My goal today isn't to tell you what to think. It's to get you to think about these issues that may have a great impact on your financial well-being as you go out for the next few years. I'm not talking in 2-week or 2-month time terms. I'm talking medium to long term. That's over a year and stuff. I only do these things once a year here, so I can't talk about it. This stock's got to hold at least for a year, but I'd say I'm thinking more like 3 to 5 years. I try to live 3 years ahead of the world. That's where I'm strategically positioned. Okay, so far everybody with me on all this economic stuff? All right. It's kind of a mellow room. It's nice that there's so much space, though. I really got to thank the good people from JCK for letting us have space. I don't know how many people there are here, but it looked kind of empty when I came in, but it looks like the tables have filled up. So let's talk diamonds a little. Well, the diamond supply and demand is a clear game. Don't worry about diamonds, anybody. Diamonds are going to do fine. I worry about you. I worry about me. I worry about the people in the diamond industry. But diamonds are going to be fine. Diamonds are forever. On this yellow thingamajig is, I think it's the yellow one. No, the yellow one is diamond demand in dollars, and it's very conservative. And it tells you they're going to want $45 billion of diamonds at wholesale, and today they're around $20 billion or $18 billion. So the next bunch of years, diamond demand is going to double. People are going to want more diamonds. If the dollar goes down, that's part of this game. So in dollars, there's going to be dollar demand for diamonds will be very strong. But the amount of mining, the stuff that's coming out of the ground, not so strong. 7, 8 years to make a new mine. So we can predict pretty what's going to happen. Although, really, what's the best source of diamonds, everybody? Somebody here tell me. What is the best source of diamonds in the world? Yes, sir, Miami. You got it. Resale. Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Schwartz want to send their grandchildren to college. You buy those diamonds, you're going to get them. Please don't screw Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Schwartz. I beg of you. Give them a fair deal, okay? But yeah, recycled. Super. Coming out of the woodwork. So I haven't put that in here, so that may increase it a bit. There are billions of dollars of diamonds out there that are going to be resold in the next few years as baby boomers get older and college costs go up or whatever have you. But the bottom line is that there's going to be more demand for diamond with hundreds of millions of new consumers coming out of India and China and not more mining. So the outlook for diamonds is pretty good because the distance between the yellow and that, what's that color? It's kind of a, what do you call that color? Greenish, purplish? Yeah, teal, right. Between yellow and teal are higher prices, everybody. So yeah, diamond prices going up. It's obvious to me. And there's just long-term trends that are in place. Now, again, if India and China decide that they're going to outlaw diamonds and they have a huge recession or there's a war with Pakistan, a nuclear war, God forbid, yeah, that'll change the equation. Shocks will change the equation. You know, if Mao Zedong comes up from his grave and decides that nobody should own a diamond in China because it's anti-communistic, these things could happen, and that would change this equation. But assuming that we are existing in the world that we are today with the current political environment, at least in India and China, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And don't forget, India and China, when they buy stuff from Taiwan and from Korea and from other countries. So you're looking at a economic engine that's going to be extremely forceful in the Far East. And anybody that's been to a Hong Kong show, you know, can tell the difference. These guys got rollies with cash in them. They're walking around. So global rough distribution, we came back. We were out there at 12.3 billion. We dropped to 7.6 billion. And then we bounced back to 12.2 billion in dollars. And so we came back. We've had about a 10%. This is too mild. The increase here is actually higher. The value's up 61%. So, you know, I'm looking at the import-export data. I'm looking at Kimberley process data. But essentially, the rough business is coming back. People are running their minds. The Russians are holding back goods. I'd say about $1.5 to $2 billion of good stones. So, you know, that's sitting out there, a little speculation. And some dealers are speculating with interest rates of zero. I mean, come on, guys. Dollar's going down. You're a diamond dealer. You get unlimited amount of money from your banks. Not unlimited, but a lot of money from your banks. Indian government says, oh, 30% of our loans have to be to development industries like the diamond industry. So, you know, you got pretty easy credit. You got low interest rates, although in India it's not that low. But easy money. So why wouldn't you speculate and own some diamonds? Yeah, makes sense. So there is some of that going on. But basically, we're back to production to where we were. This is interesting. This is amazing. Everybody talks imports, exports, blah, blah, blah. I'm interested in what I call the sponge effect. Take total amount of diamonds coming into America. Take the total amount of diamonds going out. That means imports of rough minus exports of rough. Imports of polished minus exports of polished. And tell me what sticks. What stays in America. What is the American absorption of diamonds like? We were up to the 7.7 billion mark in 2006. And then we came down to 2.7, 2.8 billion in 2009. And you can understand why people were pretty concerned. They thought the lights were going to go out in this industry. And we bounced back to 4.5, basically, 4.484. So we came back here, 61% increase. So we're feeling good. People feel pretty good that America's coming back. You know the story with the rabbi? This guy goes to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, I can't live. I have a 2-bedroom, I have a 1-bedroom apartment, and I have 10 children, and I can't live. And this is in the old country. So the rabbi says, you know, do you have any chickens? So I got some chickens. He says, bring the chickens into the house there. No, Rabbi. Okay, Rabbi says he does. Okay, comes back, it's terrible next week. He says, you know what? You got a cow. Bring the cows in. Brings the cows. It's terrible. He comes back the next week. I says, you know, you got some goats? A couple goats? And bring the goats into the house with the chickens, with the cow, with the kids. I have to listen to the rabbi. Brings him in. And man, that house is hell. He comes back to the rabbi. He looks like a shmata. He's just dead. And he goes, Rabbi, I'm going to kill myself. The rabbi says, you know what? Take out the cows, take out the goats, take out the chickens, take everything out. Takes everything out. Next week he comes back to the rabbi. He says, this is fantastic. I never knew I had such a big house. He's delighted. So we're sitting here. We got the goats and everything in 2009. Our business basically crashed. And now we're bouncing back to something resembling a bit of normalcy. And we feel great. And that's good. I like the feeling it's great. I'm not negative. I'm just an observer, the old fly on the wall guy here. So we have bounced back, and I hope we'll retain that. And we will retain it probably, and we'll grow even. Nothing wrong with the jewelry industry per se. The problem is the country we're in. So this is the net diamond account. You know, a little down and bouncy up, not to the 8 billion, 7.8 billion. We're about a little bit better than half where we were. But look at India. Now in 2006, India was a net exporter. The negative number means that they were a negative sponge. They brought in rough, they cut it, they sold more polished, and they just made money. But in 2010, they became an absorber of diamonds to the tune of 1.893 billion. The first quarter of 2011 is almost that number. I expect India in 2011 to absorb approximately $3 billion of diamonds. Some of it might be speculation, some of it might be sales, but $3 billion. 2 years, 3 years, India is going to be absorbing more diamonds than the United States of America, India alone. And let's look at Hong Kong and China. They went up, they dropped a little, 3.6. They're at 5.495, that's 5.5 billion. So China and Hong Kong, because they smuggle goods back and forth, and then Hong Kong serves the whole Far East, so it's a good indicator for what's going on in the Far East. Their absorption rate is 5.5 billion. America's at 4.484 billion, and that's just China and Hong Kong without India. So guys, whoa. And I'm just looking at the 3 big countries. There's still Europe, there's this, there's that, there's Japan, but they're not that powerful. So, in this game of the 3 countries, China and Hong Kong are 47% of the game. USA is 37% of the game. And it wasn't always that way. This is the net diamond account, the way Rapaport figures it. And you got the USA coming down, bouncing back, but at around 2008 crisis time, that's the end of the last quarter of 2008, China and Hong Kong overtook us. It's not bad, it's not evil, it's okay. But these hungry little diamond gobblers are out there. So that's what's happening, and that's without India. You add India and you add China together, which I didn't do here so quickly, but you can see that you're talking approximately, I don't know, something like 5, 6, 7.4 billion against America's 4.4 billion. So, roughly speaking, that's where the action is, baby. That's where people go to sell their diamonds. They go to Hong Kong show. This is a nice show here. I love America. It's all good, but, that's where the action is. So you see that, well, let me just go back here. So we should understand this. And I'm not evil. It's not bad. I love America and all that. You got competition out there going after your cookies. So just be aware that they're strong, and they are doing it. That's where the diamonds are going. That's why the prices are going up. And if things change out there, it'll change here. Now, rough and polished prices, you can see that rough really crashed very hard in that big problem that we had. They shut down production as well, and then rough prices came up, and we're back to the old days where rough is leading polished ahead. So essentially what's going on is that rough prices are moving faster than polished prices, and if you want to buy diamond futures, you just buy rough, so to speak. Although you could buy polished too. But basically people are paying a premium to get hold of the goods in what is, I think, a tight market. Look at the RapNet prices. They've gone up. And if you look at the little purple one or the teal one over there, which is the 1 carat, we are actually at the same place we were at the peak. You had that big bubble before the crash in 2008 when the dollar was dying. Remember, oil was at $140, and that was going on. And then things crashed, and now things are coming back up, and the diamond prices are going back to the good old days. Melly's wild, 120% increase since March of 2009. These are our own, we do the auctions. I was telling you, one of the things we do is we recycle diamonds. Wow! Better than the deep flawless, Look at that sucker fly. And that's not, and no one's speculating to control the Melly market like 3 carat deep flawlesses. That's just reality. And there's a lot of people buying a lot of inexpensive diamonds because that's what these Chinese and these Indians are going to buy as they enter the market. This is normal, this is healthy. This is real demand chasing real diamonds with real prices. Okay, let me just stop for a minute, take a drink. How's everybody doing? We okay so far? A lot of the economics is kind of boring. I'm not telling you any funny stories. I feel guilty about that. But this is serious stuff, so you want to kind of understand it. So everybody understands basically the story is very simple. Globalization, other guys are eating our cookies, pushing up diamond prices. Sustainable increases in diamond prices. Unsustainable U.S. economy based on lower interest rates. If America goes, China and India are not going to go. And that just means that they're going to have more purchasing power than us in terms of their population and with stronger currency as the dollar gets weaker against the renminbi and the rupee. But let's talk about what all this means. We've been talking about diamonds and background and everything, and so we're sellers. We're in the seller's market to the strong foreign demand. So all you retailers are sitting down there, well, wine me and dine me, and I'm Queen Lufta, and I'm a retailer, I'm buying diamonds, and I think you got to get used to the fact that people are going to say, who cares? I got better buyers than you in Hong Kong. Don't give me your prima donna, I'm a diamond buyer crap. Money talks, and I promise not to curse this time. Whatever else walks. So don't do the prima donna stuff. And don't think that because you're a diamond buyer, the whole world's going to bow down to you and toady up to you. It's going to change. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, buy, sell, or go to hell. That's the Rapaport motto there. You know, isn't that great marketing? You know, buy, sell, go to hell. Because diamonds are worth real money. And you guys may be spoiled or whatever you are, but diamonds are worth real money. So if you don't want to come up with the nicest, you're not going to. The diamond prices are not going to track the U.S. economy. So you might have unemployment here, misery here, and diamond prices keep going up because a bunch of Indians and Chinese. It's nobody's fault. Get over it. U.S. retailers are going to have to sell diamonds at higher prices, irrespective of what goes on in the United States economy. And that's just a fact. I didn't make them up. I didn't create 1.4 billion Chinese. But that's what's happening out there. Do prices matter? Well, I don't know. You got a store, prices go up, your rich customers. Here's great advice from Rapaport. Sell diamonds to rich people. See? Sell diamonds to rich people. Because they got money and they want them. And you know what, when diamond prices go up, the rich people want diamonds less? No. People want what they can't have. People treasure what they have that other people don't have. So, you know, you're in America, you got a lot of rich people around here, sell them diamonds. Don't worry about Walmart. Identify your target market, identify the wealthy guys. Diamond prices go up, they're going to want more of them, not less of them. It's a conspicuous consumption product. And if they think about it as an investment, so much the better, but you can't sell to them at high markups. So your markups are going to have to change. Doesn't mean that you should only sell wealthy people. You can merchandise around. And, you know, how do we add value to diamonds that are too expensive for U.S. customers? Well, first you find rich customers that they're not too expensive for. And the second thing is the big question, can you merchandise your way out of it? I'm sure we have merchandisers here from some of the big stores. Well, we're going to take a K color instead of an F and G color. We're going to take an I1 and an I2. We're going to maybe take a little lesser make, and we're going to less stones in the piece. As it is, you got to mess around with gold. How are you going to match with gold? Gold is difficult. Where you go to 9-carat gold in a good store? So you got to, gold is much more difficult to merchandise than diamonds. Throw in a colored stone here, throw in this there, give them the look and the perception of value, and bingo. So the merchandising is at a premium. Merchandisers should ask for a raise in their salary, because good merchandisers, bad merchandisers should get fired. But good merchandising is going to be one of the keys that you're going to have to come up with as diamond prices remain strong and you want to hit certain price points for your customers. But I'm telling you, go to the wealthier people and don't be afraid if diamond prices are higher. Tell people, it used to cost $5,000, now it costs $10,000. That's life, baby. Because, you know, people came to the shows and was telling me, and they said, oh, I want to buy this price, I'm going to walk away. They walked away, and they came crawling back on their hands and knees, can I have the goods? Because the goods aren't there. So all this hokey-pokey, smiley, diamonds are worth money, everybody. Get used to it. And if you don't have the money and you're not a player, we love you, but you're just not a player. And you don't have to be a player. But just understand that you may be able to merchandise your way out of it a little bit, but not necessarily all the way. Now, what do you need to do? This is a profit life cycle for a company. It has a product gets sold, standard marketing books, you know. And it's what happens. And it's even a life cycle for people. You know, you get older, eventually, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and you start to go downhill. It's the way God created the world. So how do you make money in a business when you know that at some stage your business is going to mature, and even if you're perfect, the world around you is going to change? You got zero profit on top. You got profit margins declining when the curve makes a change in its curvature there, at the point of inflection. So you come up with another product. See? And then you do that again, another product. And that green line becomes your profits, and you get very, very wealthy. So what you need to do is come up with new products, new ideas, new designs, new this, new that, and you are fine. Look at Rapaport did the price sheet, then we came up with the magazine, then we came up with the RapNet, then we came up with auctions, and we're constantly innovating and doing new stuff. And that's what you guys need to do. So the idea is to recognize the fact that America might be here, and the solution is just to grow your business in other ways and do things. With diamonds, it's fine, but just Come up with, you got to regenerate. You can never get lazy and relaxed. So, new distribution and communications create new markets for new products. Now that the world around us is changing, all your competitors are going to have to change. The game will go to who the change is best. It's okay, musical chairs. The guy who moves faster gets that chair. So you need to know you're in a musical chair game. You need to know you got to change. You got to move faster than the other guy, and you're fine. You guys heard the story about the African thing. I don't know who's here, and I keep taking the same stories every year. No one's going to show up with it. You guys know about the story about the African guys out there, two good buddies out there in the savannah in the bush, and they see a lion? You guys heard that story? Everybody heard it? All right, so we'll tell it, you guys. Two guys, two buddies, they're out there in the savannah. It's towards evening, lions eat in the evening, and they see this lion looking at them and coming after them. So one of the guys bends down and puts on his sneakers. His friend says, "What the heck, you can't outrun the lion." He says, "I don't have to outrun the lion. I just got to outrun you." Okay? So your ability to change and adapt to the new environment, man, that's what's going to keep you in the game. That's your new product. Your ability to make new products and innovate. So in a change word, who do you want to sell? I said, who do you want to sell? Not who do you have to sell. You got to be into it, baby. You got to want to sell. You got to want to do it. You want to have fun. Ask Warren Buffett, what kind of businesses do you buy? He says, I buy businesses where the managers of the businesses are very enthusiastic. They're passionate about what they do. Number one is get yourself some passion. What do you want to sell? And how do you want to sell it? You got to answer those questions, everybody. That's the only way you can make new products and new things. Change creates the opportunity for new products because your old product's dying anyhow, and now you can go out there and you can rock and roll. Okay, I'll give you a little NPM. We'll do a little video so I can kind of relax for a minute. Give me the NPM video. Video, people.
This is John. John is the kind of guy who likes TV a lot. He also likes his couch a lot. If he's home, that's where you can find him. Watching TV, that's about it. You might say John is somewhat lacking in ambition. You might also call him a typical male, especially if you were John's girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend. And here's Pete. Pete is a busy guy. He spends his time as a project manager for an international gaming company. He takes his meals on the go, he spends his free time working on his own side projects, and he's never taken a sick day. Pete likes to unwind with a bit of comedy before bed and on the weekends. But even when he's unwinding, he's talking to his friends, posting his ideas and interests on Facebook and Twitter, all while watching TV with his laptop open and smartphone in hand. Pete is a new breed of consumer. Introducing the multi-platform male. Here's a little primer on the MPM. The multi-platform male is aged 18 to 34, and when compared to other men in his age bracket, he's more likely to be educated, employed, and spending his higher income on tech devices, 12 of them in fact. He doesn't simply watch TV. He's on multiple screens, often at the same time, diving deeper into the content he's enjoying. He's also in the know about new media and products, and he's constantly sharing what he knows with his vast social network. Typically, many advertisers end up reaching a lot of Johns, but won't get to all the Petes, the new multi-platform male, who is the premium male segment out there. We at Spike and Comedy Central have done the studies. We understand the multi-platform male like nobody else does. And we know that 80% of all of these guys are going to turn to us every week via TV, their computer, and smartphone. If you don't target the multi-platform male, you miss the most influential consumer out there, because the MPM is constantly driving the social conversation about products he buys. Spike and Comedy Central know exactly who advertisers need to reach, and we have the best way to reach them on all the screens. Advertising with Spike and Comedy Central gets your message in front of males in the most dynamic way, and our viewers help it spread like wildfire. So whether your message is for this guy or for this guy, with Spike and Comedy Central, you can be sure to tap the untapped resources of advertising, because no matter which screen, we're always on.
Okay, I don't work for Spike or Comedy Central. I just have the same company working on some marketing stuff for us. Look at that marketing. Who does that appeal to? Look how cool that is. And look what it's telling. They're telling you about this MPM or whatever, and like that's the guy that buys the diamonds, everybody. And I just took it because I found it on the web and flipped it out here, so Comedy Central and whatever got some free advertising. I'm not interested in them. I'm interested in the way they sell us, the B2B selling. Look at that. Look how sophisticated and cool that stuff is, right? What they had to say and how they communicated it. And look at the market. Look at the person. That's a new product. That's a new market. That's a new thing. And I don't need people who are even aware of the guy or how they're going to sell him with this. Talk multimedia, and we're crawling into this kind of social tra-la-la. But hey, these guys are rocking. Our customers are ahead of us when it comes to adapting and accepting change. And we got to be in the same framework. And the best way to think about it is like we're making new products. Just imagine you woke up, it's the first day of the rest of your life. Now you're going to make a new business, and you're going to go after these guys to get your curve to go someplace else. So I think that's pretty cool. I think you need to understand it. In a few minutes here, I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we'll let some Q&A come up. But I'm going to just kind of move along now. I showed you that other graph of those interactive things, right, where you had demographics driving globalization, driving economic change. I gave you the whole Torah, the whole story there. Right? Well, look at technology, and I call it socialization, social networks, and everything. Now, you know what's amazing about this? It's not demand-driven. It's supply-driven. When the guy made Facebook, he wasn't thinking about demand. He was having a good time doing some stuff with the computer. The YouTube guys, the Google guys. They didn't even know they had customers. They didn't even know how they were going to make money. They just did the technology, baby, because they could. That's powerful. Technology waits for no one. It just flies today. First make it, and then maybe someone will invent a new baseball game to play in your field. Look how creative. Look how the world has changed. We don't sit there and look, who do people want to buy and then I'm going to make it? No, we make stuff and we tell the world, use this. It's cool, baby. We need to do that with jewelry. We need to do that with what we sell, because that's the future. You're not waiting. This demand-driven stuff is a bunch of hooey. You need to push. Now diamonds are expensive. You're supply-driven, everybody. It's a supplier's market. It's a seller's market. You got expensive diamonds that are getting more expensive. Assuming you have an inventory, not just a bunch of memo freaks. But hey, you got to learn to sell the way people sell technology. They make it and then they sell it. And then it drives socialization, which then drives even more technology. It's an interactive, synergistic thing. It's like when you go on a safari and you see the hippo with a little bird on it. What's that called? That's symbiosis. There's a symbiotic relationship between technology and the social networking world, and it's even in politics. Why do you think the people were jumping out in Egypt? And Facebook and all that stuff. Why do you think right now in Syria they shut down all social networks? Because it's the future. It's the essence. And technology and this kind of social change that we're seeing are married at the hip. I mean, it is one thing already. And it's like an internal combustion. It's like a critical mass in a nuclear explosion, and it's just going to grow. Okay, supply-driven, Facebook, YouTube, Google. They didn't look at the customers and say, what should I do? They made stuff because it was fun. New products create their own demand. The product creates the demand. It doesn't meet demand. It doesn't respond to demand. It creates demand. And we're in a new world of supply-driven markets, supply-driven ideas. Have a better idea, and everybody will come and play it with you. Don't sniff around like a dog trying to follow somebody. Lead. Create new stuff. Well, I'll give you a couple of ideas, 3 ideas that I'll try to lay on to you guys here. Millions of consumers want to sell diamonds and jewelry, and they're going to want to. As the population of the United States ages, jewelers should be making as much money buying as selling. It's a two-way street, everybody. If you're just making money selling diamonds, you're half a man or half a woman or half a jeweler or half of whatever you are. And you can't afford to be half of anything anymore. Get out there, understand your products, and buy from the market. Why should the profits of our industry be limited to what comes out of the ground? De Beers is just another mining company. They're not your big daddy anymore. They don't do the generic advertising. You're on your own. I'm not against De Beers. They're doing the right thing probably. But this whole idea that everyone's going to coddle me and take care of me and pay for my hotel, and I mean, I think it's all going to be history. That party's over. But it's not a party. It became dependent. You became the guy laying on the couch. The guy laying on the couch, I guess Comedy Central can sell him some stuff, but he ain't going to have a lot of money to buy diamonds. Now, the other guy, yeah, that's the guy we want to sell to, if you could reach him. So that's a big opportunity, the whole idea of recycling. And I will give you the plug for Rapaport. You find it, we will auction it off. We will bring in Indians, we will bring in Chinese, we will bring in anybody to buy the stuff in a fair market way, because we are committed to creating fair market value for recycled diamonds, and that is good for the American consumer, for the jeweler, for everybody. So don't be afraid to buy stuff, even if you can't resell it in your store. So a lot of guys, they go, you know, I'm recycling. By the way, how many people in this room, raise your hand if you're recycling, if you're buying stuff off the public? Okay, 10%, 15%, 20%. Who are the rest of you guys? Are you afraid to buy because you don't understand the goods? Maybe you don't have any money. Best business around. Some people, they just buy what they can resell in their store. Talk to us, stop by our booth. Buy stuff that you can't sell in your store and we'll sell it for you. Because this idea of recycling, of moving diamonds through is excellent. And everybody should be making money there. Now, social responsibility is a mega trend. I know I've been talking about Africans in Sierra Leone. I'm going to give you another video on Sierra Leone. Forgive me if I do it again, but let me tell you, time has come. Tsunami wave of social change. Young people are really interested in this idea of socially responsible consumerism, particularly when buying jewelry, emotional gifting. It's just, you got to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to see it. Millions of consumers want to buy socially responsible products, and we don't have them. There's like a fair trade gold is like nothing. It's not enough for 3 people. And these problems that we have in Africa are opportunities if we look at them the right way. So I'm going to give you this little video on Sierra Leone, then I'm going to talk some more. I'm going to make sure that we kind of end this thing in a way that we're not too late in the room when we leave some questions. So give me the Sierra Leone video, please. It's vital that people realize that we're there for everybody, okay? And that we're willing to listen to everybody, okay?
Martin has been a thorn in the side of the diamond industry. He's worked tirelessly to bring openness to a notoriously secretive business. His latest mission is to have fair trade for Sierra Leone's diamonds. Fair trade is meant to ensure that the country's diamond miners receive fair wages. Martin will spend the next week crisscrossing the country to see how his mission will be received by those who have profited at the expense of the miners.
How you doing there?
His first stop is with the diamond diggers themselves. Nearly 150,000 workers dig for diamonds in Sierra Leone. Most earn less than $3 a day.
If the exploitation continues, and you have diggers who work, they work with their bodies, they reduce their health, they reduce their lifespan. Diggers die in their 40s, early 40s. Hey, what's happening, man? Working hard?
Yeah.
You finding diamonds?
Yes,
So what do you think? Is it good? You like the job? You like the job?
Diamond is not for us.
Diamond is not for you.
This mineral you find, it is very important, maybe in your own country or first world. It is very important, but we don't know. We just find this mineral every day digging. The problem, money and job, good job, like factory. If you have factory in Sierra Leone, we can live. We are hard workers, but we don't have factory. I'm tired, but I can't rest.
Shake there.
Shake.
Man, they strain. You know, believe? Man don't go Guinea, man don't suffer. Man don't come salon back, man they suffer.
Right, my brother. Suffering.
If I go outside there, I get 300, 400,000 euros for
Brother.
When you have an asset and you don't take care of it, it becomes a curse. I don't believe that anything like diamonds are neutral. They're not neutral. They're either used for good or for bad. If you don't come up with a good way to use them, they will be used for evil. Alrighty. Hi, everybody.
Martin has traveled through the night to make it to a meeting of diamond miners in Kono.
Do people understand me?
People understand?
They're suspicious. They've seen too many white men in white jeeps with good intentions come and go, and nothing has changed.
First of all, if the digger is getting screwed, let them say the digger is getting screwed.
So all waiting the apple really now for let them cancel the yeah. If the diggers are not they get better, then go able go talk.
That's why. Yeah. Finally, the diamond who the digger say not benefit no for winner, yeah. But sometimes I find out you don't see say fine. Sometimes I see the go up say not fine. You go put another Jilama they go tell you say this is not double decker, this is crack, this is black.
We don't get power.
The diggers tell Martin they are barely able to make a living because the price they get for their diamonds is controlled by Sierra Leone's exporters.
If we create a market in Kono every Thursday, and there was an auction, how much you pay, how much you pay, how much you pay, high price taken.
Yes.
Would that be good?
I like the idea.
Would people like that idea?
Yes, we like the idea.
You guys like that idea?
Yeah. We all enter inside for let we go, let it rise up, for let we free from this slavery. Say no,
You need competition.
yes. Fair trade.
Fair trade.
Okay, now the story here is, those diggers, they're screwed. Okay, they're not getting competition, they're not getting fair markets. U.S. retailers, Chinese, Indians, they're screwed. But you know, what really makes a level playing field is this idea of competition and free and fair markets, and that's why I told you at the beginning of the speech. Now, this is an opportunity that is unprecedented with the fact that so many Americans would like to buy socially responsible products, and we have the opportunity to not just make these diamonds kosher, but give them spiritual sparkle. I mean, geez, we could do amazing stuff out here if we were aggressive, if we created new products, if we would be able to reach beyond being this lazy guy on the couch. And we were aggressively going out there to create these new product categories of ethical jewelry and stuff. And some people are doing it, and the RJC is trying to do their thing, and God bless them, and other organizations are trying to do their thing, and they're all good. I may not agree with everything they do. They may not be perfect, but you know, hey, it's moving in the right direction. My point is that social responsibility is a basic need that is emerging from our customer base. And if you're not selling it, someone else will. And it's crazy for us not to dig into this thing. So what do the diggers want? Forget about me in this thing. The diggers spoke. He wants jobs. He wants fair trade market. He just wants a fair shot at being able to get what he's doing. That's all. If his diamonds aren't worth that much, he can become a farmer. He just wants fairness. Fair markets and competition and transparency are the essence of all of this stuff. That's the way out of it. And if the Chinese and the Indians buy all your diamonds, go into some real estate business or something else, it's not the end of the world. But if you are an innovative, if you are creative, you can go ahead. So we must create good markets, not just in Sierra Leone, not just for consumers. Mrs. Schwartz wants to send her grandchild to college in Miami, and I'm telling you today she's getting screwed. She's not getting a fair price for that diamond. And everyone talks about consumer confidence, consumer confidence. Yeah, so buy the stuff back if you want to give people consumer confidence. Give them a fair shake. Give them a good price. The diamond industry is going to be good, though, because we are in what I call the slippery slope of legitimization. There's some fair trade gold out there. People are becoming more aware of the stuff. I mean, I was in the Sierra Leone 4 years ago in that video and haven't been able to do much since, though. We're working with the State Department now to come up with some solutions and start some auctions and stuff out there in the bush. But we, as an industry, are on the slippery slope of legitimization, and we're talking about Rapaport certifying recycled diamonds and recycled gold and people doing stuff, because this trend, this mega trend, is happening. But the big lesson for everybody in this room, and I don't want to be emphasizing the negative, because I thought about this. We were at the GIA, and they had the symposium, and we had this little shipwreck story where you had to come up with a solution to the problem. And my solution is I'm never going to be able to stop all the evil in the world. But we can create good. We can create economic incentives for good. We can say that if you have a product that's been audited, it doesn't come from child labor, doesn't come from people killing each other, that product is monitored, that product is kosher, and someone's going to pay a higher price for it. And if they pay a higher price for it, people are going to say, I want a higher price, so I'm going to be good. That's what I mean when I say the slippery slope of legitimization. I don't expect people to be altruistic and to take their businesses and to lose money. I expect people to want to make more money. I'm telling you folks here, the world is changing. America's kind of screwed up, but we have what China and India doesn't. We have a customer base that'll pay us more money for kosher diamonds. And it's good. It's good. And if we don't do it, I mean, it's just stupid. I'm going to do it. I'm going out there. I'm going to go chase that business. Because that is an amazing business. It's difficult, but that is the ultimate product. It's not just the diamond. It's the idea behind it. Every retailer knows that. Package it with some emotion. Package it with some good, and you'll have a superior product. And it won't happen in one day. And knocking everything and you're evil because you're that's, you know, people are going to be evil. No one's going to take the diamonds from whatever it is, from Merengue and throw them in a toilet. I can't stop the world's evil. But what I can do is create good. And I can make it economically sustainable. And then good does its own thing. And things become legitimate and better. And new customers become prouder. And that's an amazing opportunity for us. So when we look at the bigger picture, and we want to understand things fit together, it's complicated. Demographics driving globalization, driving economics, technology kicking in, socialization, sticking in new social values, new generational values, this new male who's playing with 7 different computer devices every second, and all this change happening. It's so much. How can you figure it out? Guess what? You can't. So a primary characteristic of the New World Order is prioritization of social connectivity. People want to touch and relate to other people. The more computers you give them, the more they want to communicate. The more you lock them up in a room, the more they want to love someone or touch someone or interact with someone or share with someone, because that is basic to human nature, with or without technology. It's funny how we use technology to isolate ourselves and then reach out from within to other people. Human beings have a need to connect. They have a need to share. So we must define ourselves and our Julia as part of this megatrend of social connectivity. We have to be part of that game, or we're out of business, because our product is about social connectivity. Man, woman, relationship, getting together, celebrating. That's our product. Our product is the queen, the king of social connectivity. Sure, there's investment diamonds, and I always said marry investment with emotional gifting, and I said that last year. And this year I'm telling you that we need to marry our product with social connectivity. Virtual diamonds, anybody? I don't know. He gives her a little diamond that, then you can go to a jewelry store and get, I don't know. Think about things, be cool and be different. And the world is reaching a level of complexity and exponential change that defines control. My friends, it defies understanding. I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm using my brain. I got a lot of guys working for me, doing a lot of work, so I can sit back in Jerusalem and put my feet up and read The Economist and try to. Most people don't do that. They got to run the jewelry store, the diamond cutting factory. And I'm telling you, it gets to the point where so much is happening, so many ways, most people can't have a chance of understanding it. Even I give you an hour and a half talk, it's still difficult to understand. So how do we deal in a world where we can't control things and we can't even understand things? We establish management policies that support and enforce core values. And those values become our identity. That's the secret of branding. And by the way, branding is not about what we do. Branding is often about what we don't do. Branding is how we define ourselves. But even if we transcend branding to the individuality of ourselves, what are your values? Explain them to yourselves and to your employees and to your friends. Something fits your values, go with it. Something doesn't, don't go with it. Because you can't predict all the things that are going to be knocking on your door, all the problems and challenges and changes and economic stuff. You can't predict it anymore. You can't control it anymore. What you need to do is define your space. Somebody comes in there and says, I got a list here from Blue Nile, and I say, that's nice, go buy the Blue Nile. You define your space and what you are and how you add value, and you stand by it, and you're proud of it, and you have a strong identity, and that's who you are. And if you can make money, which I think you can if you're good at it, fine. And if you can't, do something else. But don't prostitute yourselves for the customer. Don't hover, I have to do what the customer he wants, whatever he wants. We're supply-driven now. We're not demand-driven anymore. It's a seller's market for the next few years. And if you try to operate in a seller's market like it's a buyer's market, you're going to go out of business. Be proud of your product, be proud of your identity, know who you are, add value in a clear way, have policies about what you do, and you're going to do fine. But don't turn yourself into mush because the world around you has gotten so screwy. We must make money by being good. Sounds strange. I say, so rich people. And make money by doing the right thing. That's sustainable. Because even if interest rates go up, maybe people who have a lot of money are going to make more money because they're going to have some return on their investment or whatever. It's a complicated world. But essentially, we have to be good, and we have to make money by being good, because that's the essence of our industry's brand. That's the essence of who we are. And you got to support values driven by free, fair, honest, transparent, efficient, and competitive markets, in my view. You have your own value system. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be me. But you got to have values. And those values have to define who you are. And the better you define yourself and you live up to your, De Beers had a wonderful statement that said, up to diamonds. Whenever they would do anything, they would have a breakfast or they would, up to diamonds. And they would have a level of, confidence and they do things right. And I think that the diamond industry needs to be up to diamonds. I tell my people, be up to Rapaport, be up to a certain standard. And by establishing those values and those standards, that is the secret to success in my view. And no matter how much the world changes, if you know who you are, if you identify yourself well and clear, and if you're proud of what you do, and if you're not afraid to ask for a good hefty profit for your work, a fair profit, I think you're going to have tremendous success. Thank you very much. Okay, questions? See, it's only 1:45, and we have to be out of the room pretty soon. Anybody have questions? We got some mics up here. It wasn't boring this time. We didn't have you rolling in the aisles with laughter. Questions? Is everybody shy? Okay, everybody can leave for their booths. Here's a question. There's a mic right up here in the middle. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. This is your shot at Rapaport. Please don't throw things.
Good morning. I've been a client of Rapaport for a few years. We've been selling Melly to the international market, and we've been quite excited to see the price of diamonds go up because I'm a reseller. And in the last 2 months, we've seen a spike, and then we've seen it level off a little bit and go down. Can you explain what's happening now?
Pendulums always swing. We've been talking about a long-term and medium-term trends. So you're going to get short-term trends where prices will get overheated, and then they're going to get a little too hot, and then people are going to start getting scared because they got to sell it to somebody. I think that the high price of gold has came in as a shock as well. Might have hurt the Melly market a little bit, but you've got to be careful because no tree grows to the heaven. So as that rate of growth gets excessive, because it's a competitive market. Everybody thinks the price is going to go up. The price goes up. Everybody then just figures let's all pile on board, and at some stage you get the speculative fever like you would in the stock market. Everybody sees it's going up, and they all go in, and because they go in, it goes up some more. But I think the secret is to have your customers in place and to make sure that they can buy the product and they know what to do with it. Because if you're buying product without any idea of where to sell it, that could be a problem. That's why we're doing our auction business. So that people buy stuff, they have a free market or a fair marketplace to do it. And they leave enough margin to cover themselves. And then once they start doing that on a regular basis, but we should expect volatility in prices as we reach new levels. So it's not shocking to me. And I do predict economic bumps in the road. So if the foreign currency rates change, dollar gets stronger, say, for some reason, that's going to affect things too. So you got to just really watch all that stuff. We are in a volatile environment. Yeah.
I'm a retailer and I add fair value and I make a fair profit. I'm also a recycler. You're saying to make the same profit on both sides of buying and selling from the public. That's what I understand. You said not to screw Mr. Schwartz.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't need to screw Mr. Schwartz, but what return am I going to get? How many more Mr. Schwartz am I going to get in? And how do I brand myself, or your ideas about that, as a recycled buyer?
Okay, let me say this. First of all, I don't mean that the profit margins should be the same. I mean that if you're a jeweler and you're active and you're just selling and you're not buying and you're not making money buying, you're half a jeweler. You're missing the boat. In terms of how much profit you should make when you buy something, I can't tell people how much to make, but I know that in a competitive environment, it's going to be somewhat limited, assuming the customer is not so old they can't competitive shop. We make 10% when we auction jewelry and 5% when we auction loose diamonds, and that's it. And That's how we work, okay? And it's a fixed fee, because we know what's coming in. Sometimes we don't even know what the goods are. Some guy's got some stuff in the back of his safe, and I don't even know what it's worth, and we just put it out there. How much a jeweler should make? I don't know, cost plus, triple your cost, quadruple your cost. It's hard for me to say how much you should make, but I think you should make enough that Mrs. Schwartz's friends want to come over and sell you as well, you know? And you can look her in the eye and say, hey, I'm good with you. I did it fairly and stuff like that. So, you know, I can't tell you in your market what you should do in terms of numbers of percentages. It wouldn't be right. I'm hoping that enough people will do it. There'll be competition, so Mrs. Jones or Mrs. Schwartz has an opportunity to get a fair price in the community. But I think jewelers are becoming more aware of this, and I think that market segment is going to just grow and flourish as people see these opportunities. And it's just that the history has been not so good in terms of people. The seller doesn't know what it's worth, and they get sometimes seriously taken advantage of. It's an ethical decision on your part. You could rip her off, probably get away with it for a while, but if you really pay a good price, fair price, she's going to come back. Other people are going to come back. You're going to build a reputation as being really good. So I'm very in support of, it's your decision, it's your values, it's your ethics, it's how you feel. Any other questions? Please. Everybody relax, feel cool, It's a big room, so everybody seems a little more formal, and maybe I feel more formal.
Hi, good morning. I'm a retailer, and we're interested in dealing in fair trade diamonds. Is this forever mark that De Beers is promoting a legitimate fair trade diamond? Are there other opportunities to find fair trade diamonds?
All right, we have to be very careful utilizing the phrase fair trade. Fair trade generally means a product which helps the actual diggers in Africa and allows them to create sustainable economic development, which means they're able to continue to work. We define fair trade as fair wages, 4 things: fair wages for the digger, community benefit, which is often absent in a country where there's no taxes because there's rampant smuggling, do no harm, no environmental damage, no child labor, no unsafe working conditions, and monitoring and branding, if you wish. Now, that fair trade definition is pretty much what Fair Trade Labeling Organization, FLO, does with coffee, and now they're called Fair Trade USA. It's something that CAFTA does in Africa, or the IFAT people now called the World Fair Trade Organization. So there are organizations that give a stamp fair trade, and that is a higher level than, say, the Forever Mark or something else. So let's look at what you got. You would have evil diamonds where people were killed, like in Merengue. That's bad. Then you'd have ethical products, which are okay. Like the Canadians, the Bears, they watch the stuff, they pay, they take care of their workers, they do some good stuff also. They may have caused stuff, they give people shots for HIV, whatever. That's fine. Then you might have, diamonds that have fair trade, which are above what these companies do, because you go into the heart of Africa where the diggers are, and you put up with corruption and difficult certain conditions, and you do some amazing stuff. So essentially, these are different levels of the same game. And the Bears, I think, is doing a monitoring system for their Forever Mark. The Canadian diamonds, the polar bear diamonds, they're also fine, and those are all good products, and they're fine. And I think you're better off buying them than a generic diamond, probably, if the price is fair. On the other hand, you have to be careful not to ignore the Sierra Leone stories and the other stuff. But right now, there are no fair trade diamonds. There are none, because we haven't been able to establish the monitoring. We haven't been able to create the environment. I'm working on it. 4 years, 5 years. It takes a long time. But there are ethical products. So buying ethical products is always a good idea. And I think that there's a bigger issue here is that you got to ask your supplier. You got to sit down and talk to your supplier. You got to say, sign me a statement that you're not giving me Merengue diamonds. Sign me a statement on your word that what you're supplying me is okay. And we can give you some text we'll put out, and they'll make it very clear. Because I think that your supplier has to be responsible to you. Because look, if he's going to screw you and sell you, say, Merengue diamonds, maybe he'll sell you CZ in the parcel. Maybe he'll sell you HPHT treated. Maybe he'll do something else. So you have a right, I think an obligation, to take responsibility for what you buy. Because if you buy a product that has caused some suffering elsewhere, it's got to be bad karma. It's got to be not good. And that's the thing. Some people say, I'm only in business, I don't care. I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in doing good. Okay, and I guess they're going to live their lives. But if you want to be above it all, and you really, because the consumer trusts you. you know, that's why you need jewelers. You know, people worry about HPHT. I said, that's why you need jewelers. It's a great thing because that justifies the relationship between the consumer and the jeweler, and the jeweler is looking after the guy. He's making sure they're not selling him a phony diamond. He's making sure they're not selling them a treated diamond without disclosure. And he's making sure they're not selling a blood diamond. But you have to be proactive about it. You can't just sit back and say, well, I don't know, no one can tell, and we can't tell, and therefore I'm just going to let it all pass. You have a moral and ethical responsibility, and I think with OFAC, which is the United States government's blacklist, or Office of Foreign Asset Control, and these guys from Iran are in the same list as the guys well, Bin Laden's no longer there, thank God, but whoever else is on there. So you can't buy those goods legally. So you need to make sure that you do due diligence and you make sure that what you're selling is good, and I call it kosher. Because if you do, it makes you a better person. And your customers will appreciate the effort, and have the talks with your suppliers. And if they say, we can't tell you, you don't understand how the market works, say, that's fine, let me find another supplier. Because ultimately, you can have all the government regulations, you can have all the stories about Africa, all the Rapaport videos, but ultimately, it's the people who buy the stuff who control the game. Money talks and everything else walks. So we, the buyers of the product, the retailers, the consumers, we have the market power. It's our money talking. And if we say we want good products, if we insist on good products, if we push that button, the good products will show up. And when they do, it'll change the game in Africa and elsewhere, because people will say, well, I can sell these jewelers, I can sell more people, I can get a higher price. Okay? And if your customer knows, we're having this fair trade thing. Eric Brownward is coming today, and he's working real hard. He deserves support. People going out there, they're trying to do the right thing in South America and other places. Support the good guys. Give them some of your business, or whatever it is. And you will then create this slippery slope of legitimization, this good energy, this good vibrations. And it's karma. It's not always this one deal did it, but you do good, he does good, the other guy does good. I feel like I'm crazy sitting here talking about doing good in the business world, but that's really what business is going to be about in the next 10 years. It's going to be about doing good business. And consumers are going to respond to it. And spiritual sparkle is going to be just as important as the regular sparkle. That's what I think. And it's because it's megatrends. Even if you don't want to be an ethical guy, hey, open your eyes, look at the world. It's the ethical tsunami wave of social responsibility that's coming from a new generation of wealthy people and Americans. Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Can you kind of give specific ideas as to ways of adding value for wholesalers? Whereas, in the past few years, we have the larger manufacturers and the overseas manufacturers going downstream, reaching ultimately the end users, and what you have also are the retailers and the end users going upstream. So would you have any ideas and specific suggestions as to adding value in our part of the supply chain?
Well, first of all, run a consolidated buyback program. Talk to all your retailers and say, guys, if you see any goods coming through, if you can't use them in your store, buy them. I'll give you education about prices. I'll take them off your hands, and then you can sell them yourself or send them to a Rapaport auction or something. But first of all, encourage the flow of diamonds the other way. Do your research in terms of where the diamonds come from. Talk to your diamond cutters in India or wherever and say, I want to know where these goods come from. See if you can get, we're going to start working on some source certification, join the Responsible Jewelry Council and say, look, I'm doing the best that I can to identify myself. Be more proactive on RapNet and trading networks, looking where you can get good deals and prices. Hook up with suppliers. Go to Surat. Get out there. If they can come here, hey, you can go there. Okay? And if those Mumbai guys are buying goods from the Surat guys, you go direct to Surat. Okay? We'll help you do it. But just get active, get out there, see what's going on, understand your customer. Don't get into a credit game. Don't get into a memo game. Don't get into just throwing money out there game. Know your products really well and see what you can do. But I think that I don't have the solution for everybody. I can give you ideas. I'm sure people here have better ideas than mine. But it's that attitude of I'm going to do something, I'm going to make a difference that counts. Harry Winston went to Sierra Leone, 1930s, did a deal, I don't know. It was maybe ethically or not, but he was out there. He was a thorn in the bear's side. Okay? So he was aggressive. Just be aggressive. And think about it. And, look around. You'll find some good stuff to do. But don't be the regular guy. Don't be the guy on the couch just waiting for business. You know what I'm saying? You got to reinvent yourself all the time. It's amazing. And when you do reinvent yourself and you do something good, competitors are going to come along and nibble away at your profits too. So when people start copying you, then you know that you're doing a pretty good job, okay? But just keep going.
Good morning. Thank you very much, by the way. It was really terrific. You made a reference to something called RJC. I don't know what that is.
Responsible Jewelry Council. It's an organization put together by a bunch of mining companies and other people. It's an organization I knocked ferociously last year because they refused to tell their members not to buy merengue diamonds. And I'm maybe having a little guilt trip, but forget about the guilt trip. There were a bunch of people, and there's a meeting of theirs as well. You can ask about it, and I guess you can send us an email at diamonds.net or something, and we'll tell you. But they're an organization that has standards. And the standards are for how you pay your employees and how you do different things. And they're aligned with the millennial goals of the United Nations. But basically, the standards to make sure that as you do business in the diamond and jewelry industry, you have standards for what you do. And I think that those standards, I don't agree with everything the organization does. I have a lot of problems with them in certain ways. But overall, the good outweighs the bad, and it says in Hebrew, Re'eh b'tov Yerushalayim. See what's good about Jerusalem. That's what it says. And the idea here is that there might be some not such good things, but we should concentrate on the good. And I think the RJC, the Responsible Jewelry Council, is trying to do what they can to identify the standards that need to be put in place by wholesalers, jewelers, dealers, miners, or what have you. And it's certainly worthwhile to expose yourself to that and to see what you can do. Yeah?
Mark, I hate to be
No, it's fine.
Microphone hog, but I'm a large reseller here in Las Vegas. And what we have done is we've gotten aggressive. We pay up to 100% for gold. And people probably think I'm crazy standing up here saying that, but it really averages about 18% profit when I look across the board. We pay between 80 and 100%. So I don't let a deal walk. And then on the diamond side, with what we do with sending our gold in, or whether we soak our gold and send our diamonds to you, we make another about 18%. So when they were talking about percentages across the board, it's about 18 to 20%.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, hey, and you're helping people. That's the beautiful part of this. People come back to you, and they come back again and again, and they say, hey, this is cool. Guys giving me a fair deal. Other people are going to come by and do the same thing, and you're going to be, yeah, I love that. And so other people in other cities, rock and roll. Yeah.
With the limited supply of rough that's in the ground, right, is the growth and the impact on from the Indian manufacturing sector, is that sustainable?
Well, we have a strange situation with credit there. We have a strange situation with some speculation. But over the long term, given the amount of increased demand I expect out of India and China, it will be sustainable. I think right now people are a little bit anticipating better opportunities than may actually exist. I think if there's any bump in the road, the Indians might pull back. But I think the fundamental problem also is credit there, Charlie. They have easy credit, and it sort of makes sense for them to play a bit of a speculative game. But I've noticed that some of the bigger companies are now doing their own auctions and tenders, which means they want to lower their inventory. I think the thing that we need to remember is that when people absorb, and I said this in my talk, too much inventory, which is speculative inventory, and let's say market conditions turn adverse. So you would expect the normal supply of diamonds to come up, push diamond prices down, say 10%. But if you got a lot of speculators holding an extra 10 or 20% of the overall volume of diamonds, rough or polished, and then they push those goods out because they fear that the prices are going to go down further, or his buddy is going to sell before him and get a higher price, so there's this race to the bottom, then you can get accentuated movements in price over the short term until they dump. But by the way, if you know the game, it's an opportunity. So you sit there, you wait for these speculators to kill themselves, you buy the goods cheap, and then it comes back to a natural equilibrium. So my view is that there is an equilibrium that gets established. My view is that some speculation in diamonds is normal in certain conditions. Investment demand by, say, Far East or Middle East potentiates, or I'm sure Mrs. Mubarak would like to have more deflawlesses because they don't set off metal detectors. That's normal to me. It's a normal kind of demand. Speculation we see, short term it's going to be there, long term it's not going to matter because I think prices are going up anyhow. So they may be right, but that's really the story. All right, I think we got to shut down here because I promised the people. I want to really thank JCK for giving us this room so everybody had some space to hang out in. And I want to thank everybody for coming and to visit our booth and talk with us. Thank you all. Have a great day in Las Vegas.